Desde Cali, Colombia. Allá está haciendo frío, aquí no. A toda la gente beautiful de Canadá. You people, I love you forever. Hey, you're from Colombia. Hey, bye bye.
Well, look who just showed up. It's Tigo. I guess he must have followed maybe somebody else to the cave. Whereas I'm going to Cerca Paila, I think it's pronounced. So anyway, I just saw two people walking up from the cave, so he must have been with them. Anyhow, buenos noches, damas y caballeros. I'll just follow my guide, and hopefully we'll find Cerca Paila, where it's a bit of a swimming pond. I think that Cerca means puddle, so in this case a big puddle. But I'm just keeping my eyes open for whatever, possibly other waterfalls. Looks like that's a trail right there. I think it might be it right down there actually. So if it's not, it's another waterfall, that's for sure. Hopefully I can see what's going on from the side view here. I'm guessing that it is. But the water in photos I've seen is kind of a nice greenish color. That's a muddy color, but that could be because it's the season of rain and the water tends to get a little bit more muddy looking during this time. But I'm going to keep exploring a little bit. Just have a nice leisurely day after myself and Tigo had a bit of a crazy extreme adventure yesterday. Looks to be an abandoned house. Hard to say, but I will sell you that house for really cheap if you want. What are you doing there, Tigo? Get it! Get the palm leaves. Look out! Somebody coming. The fun you can have with some leaves if you're a dog. Just beautiful along here at this rock. Trying to think of where it reminds me of most. Could be Yosemite, I don't know. It's like another way down to the river right there. Could be a waterfall. It's hard to say whether it's just the flow of the river or a little cascade. I guess I should mention that I'm in Florian in the department of Santander, Colombia. Definitely one of my favorite places that I've been to in all of Colombia. The drive here was beautiful. kind of interesting down there, but I could get down there, but I'm gonna keep going a little bit more. Now this is interesting. That's a cave right there. But the thing is, as cool as caves kind of are, it's hard to photograph them, and so they don't look all that spectacular unless you're in China where they're all lit up. But that river looks kind of like it's a little bit deep for me to try and cross anyway. So I don't know if that's the cave. I wouldn't think so, but you never know. It could be the cave they're talking about. But again, beautiful cliffs. Finally figured out what it reminds me of, this area. Reminds me of Zhangjiajie National Park in China, which I've been to a couple times. Except there they have these huge, tall columns. They're just amazing. What do you think, Tigo? You want to go in there, don't you? But not me. I thought that I'd go down here and survey things, but what I didn't want to happen just happened. It's all muddy down here. Now I got my last pair of dry shoes kind of muddy and wet, so I'm not going to continue on down there. I need something that's not wet to wear for a long bus ride tomorrow. Heading down to Cerca La Paila, and I'm pretty darn sure this is the right spot, but it's pretty steep and pretty slippery in some areas, so they do have these somewhat carved out steps, but it's still wet, very slippery. There you go. Definitely a much different color in the water than the photos that I saw. And quite frankly, it's not very photogenic, which doesn't surprise me because the photos I saw online, the pool of water looked kind of nice. It's actually a nice greenish color, but the waterfall is nothing terribly special. Kind of alright. I should mention that, for instance, yesterday, trekking through the jungle, I'd be walking along and all of a sudden I'd feel a bite on my calf or something like that. So there's a lot of things that bite, and I was going through spider webs, and there's also tiny little ants that bite, so there's a lot of unpleasant trees when you're walking through the jungle. I felt like something falling up my pants up there. So anyway, I'm going to go all the way down, and then after this I'm going to head to the cave and hope for a possible nice sunset. This spot is actually kind of cooler than the waterfall itself. Literally right after I turned off the camera, I felt something biting me on the leg. Who knows what it was, but lots of bites on my legs. That's why people wear long sleeve or long pants down here. No matter how hot it is, you'll see the people wearing long pants. It's another kind of a carved out cavern, which is actually quite pretty. Que bonita. Kind of hoping there might be a trail that would allow me to go further up to where I was just exploring, but obviously not. That's a little nicer from this angle down here. Give you photographers out there a little tip. When the main scene, i.e. this waterfall, is kind of boring, that's when you got to do some exploring. And so I'm inside a crevice of the cave. So if I can get some of that in here with these interesting hanging formations, that will make the shot a little bit more interesting. I managed to get a couple shots that I don't mind that basically integrate the entire cavern into the shot from side to side. So, but a little bit lower so the waterfall is more in the shot. So I can live with that. I think I'll go explore down the creek just a little bit where those cascades are, if I can get there safely. Might be a shot there as well. Well, so much for the bright idea of trying to incorporate this cascade with the other one. It's not too far around the corner there, so that doesn't work. Besides, this is such a rather hideous color for water that not all that pleasing. So I'm gonna have to go up here a little bit more. Very slippery along here, so I'm kind of walking along a crack in the rock. So I might have to try right here, even though at first glance that's kind of, well, it's kind of not, doesn't really work for me, but I made the effort to get over here, so I'll give it a shot. Now, while I think of it, which I almost always forget, I should probably mention that if you're interested in seeing my photos from my trip, you can go to Instagram, Thomas Awesome Photography, or Facebook, Thomas Awesome Photography. And at one point, I did put on a workshop on Vancouver Island with a guy who ended up a year later being the World Landscape Photographer of the Year. So I like to think that I know what I'm doing, and I also love to think that I taught him everything he knows, and that's why he became the Landscape Photographer of the Year. His name is Adam Gibbs from Vancouver Island. But he'll probably beg to differ on that. We'll just have to agree to disagree. I'm kidding, of course. He's a great photographer, but you know, just trying to make the point that I do know how to take quality photos. So I've managed to find a composition that's not too bad. It's a vertical shot though, so the waterfall's right down the middle, and I'm getting those two little cascades right in the bottom third of the camera in with the flow of the water there. So that turned out all right. I can live with that. Okay, I think I'm about done here. About 4:45 maybe. I'm glad that I came here. I think I got that interesting composition up in the corner there. I was kind of tucked right in there. To see how they turn out. Anyhow, I got a little bit dirtier than I expected, so you know, if you don't mind doing maybe a pity like, or better yet, a pity subscribe, I'll take them however I can get them. But honestly, I hope you enjoyed the video. Cascada La Paila, I think it is. Not quite what I was expecting for the watercolor, but I guess that's what happens when it's been raining a lot. Anyhow, until next time, hasta los tacos, and remember, there's no you in Colombia, but hopefully you can find yourself here in this beautiful country someday. Ciao. So I didn't even notice this reptilian Draco god here at Ventanas de Chisque, Choque, something like that. I can never remember the name. Right by the entrance of the cave. Oh, I'm a Chisque Zoque. That's what it is. That's the stairs down there. Now I didn't even realize that this there is a trail here, so now of course I'm curious to where it goes, but I don't have a whole lot of time. This trail just goes up to a tiny little cave. Although, who knows, maybe it opens up into something more interesting, but maybe There's the noisy Colombians who are yelling and screaming inside the cave. Doing what Colombians do best though, making noise. Point from up higher, where I didn't go before. Right behind the Draco reptilian god.